What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Shockwave48 here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And of course, we got ourselves a new chapter on My Hero Academia. Now, in the last chapter, things went pretty worse with Dobby, and then Endeavor tried to stop him. They had a little fight, they had a little chat, and Dobby just kept pushing to his limit to limit to limit, and then we pretty much noticed that in the chapter that he was about to blow up. I mean, literally blow up to bits. So Endeavor is doing the best he can to try to, find a way to in a safe area, or he's pretty much flying way all the way up into the sky, so the explosion don't, hit Japan maybe, or get exploded, get burned by the flames of Dobby. But apparently, his explosion, they say explosion might be very highly deadly. So he's doing the best he can. So right now, before until the last chapter, we pretty much start with the chapter where his wife comes in and tries to help Endeavor. But frankly, she's got burned in her face and then a scar, so she's doing what she can. But in this chapter, we see what's going to happen next. So let's go ahead and jump right into this, this little chapter, see what's going on, guys. Let's do this.
My Hero Academia Chapter 388 spoilers are here, and here's what happens in the chapter. Chapter 388 is titled Toya, and it's all about the Todoroki family trying to save Dobby. According to Rukasu, the chapter begins with Kendo immobilizing the All-for-One spies with her hands and informing the other heroes that those guys messed with the system, so the shelters are not gonna move again. At this time, he starts seeing all the people from the shelter pods getting evacuated into the nearest exit, and that's where we see that the robots from UA are there too, and they're ready to take people to other safe spaces. All they have to do is give them an order. The heroes instruct the civilians to not look the other way to avoid seeing Dobby's giant heat spear, but the Todorokis ignore that warning. And this just shows how close everyone is to the battle, with them looking up and seeing the giant spear of flames caused by Dobby's attacks, and realizing that they're right there. On the fourth page of the chapter, we get a really close zoom in on Rei, who makes a really concerned face looking at the battlefield where Dobby and Endeavor are having their fight, and as her eyes open really wide, she immediately gets on one of the bike-shaped robots, asking Natsuo to protect his sister, leaving them behind. She then asks the robot to take her to the source of that heat, and the robot says that he's here to follow the human's orders, and that's when the flashback ends, as the robot carries Rei all the way over to Endeavor and Dobby's location, answering the question of how exactly it was that Rei ended up getting there in the first place. Now we cut back to the present, and the robot that Rei took all the way to Toya's location has totally been destroyed by the heat and died doing a thumbs up as it completed its job to get her there. And this is going to be a really hard page to see for the Todoroki family fans because Rei is not doing okay. She went from suffering to being with her family to now suffering and being with her family, as we see Rei taking a lot of damage from Dobby's fire. Rei screams Toya as her face continues to burn, and Endeavor wonders if she's been keeping herself alive using her ice on herself, and wonders if she plans to do the same thing with Toya by coating him in her ice. It's here on the next page where we see Endeavor telling Rei to back off, and on this page Endeavor's face is insanely charred, looking almost like Dobby's massively charred face, with the skin on Endeavor's face just like Rei's beginning to peel off. And it's here where Endeavor tells Rei to back off because she's gonna burn to death, but she responds by saying that the same goes to them. And we see Rei with both of her hands in front of her using her full power ice output to again try and wrap Dobby in all of her ice, which seems like it's actually really cold because it is kind of surviving in this heat bubble, but Dobby's flames are just too strong and it doesn't seem like it's quite enough. Dobby starts mumbling the words "mom" to Rei, and Rei apologizes to him. Next he says Natsu-kun, Fuyumi-chan, and Rei realizes that the two of them have come along also. And that's exactly what we see on the page, as behind Rei, we see Natsuo and Fuyumi running towards Dobby in her path, and it seems like they're both also using their quirks as well, trying to make up for their mom's inability to actually use her quirk to coat Dobby in her ice. Rei turns and looks at Fuyumi and Natsuo and says that they absolutely shouldn't be here, but Fuyumi says she doesn't want to lose anyone else. It's at this point where Natsuo remembers when he used to ignore Toya's complaints, and he imagines himself properly talking to him as a kid, and he yells, "Stop causing so much trouble, stupid brother," over to his brother Dobby, having the first conversation that the two have had in a very long time. And it seems like Natsuo really regrets not being able to listen to his brother a little more, because maybe it would have prevented things from reaching this point if he would have had something to say at that time. But that definitely wasn't Natsuo's responsibility, because at that point he was just as young as Dobby as well, if not younger. It's here at this moment when we see the entire Todoroki family all using their ice on Dabi to try and save him as best as they can, but Endeavor realizes that this is just not working, and what's going to actually happen is the entire Todoroki family is going to get burned away by Dabi's heat. So Endeavor thinks to himself that if he uses more fire to propel them upwards, Toya's body will reach its limit. He asks, please, don't take them too. And it's at this point where Horikoshi decides to go for our hearts when he shows us a what-if image of the entire Todoroki family, with all of them standing together at the ages that they currently are right now, showing a grown-up Toya Todoroki wearing Dabi's jacket, pretty much showing what could have happened if things didn't go the way that they did, but Dabi still had that weird fashion sense that it seems like he has. And that, folks, is the spoilers for My Hero Academia chapter 388. It was an entirely Todoroki family-focused chapter where we see the entire family struggling to save Dabi, and it seems like no matter how hard they use their ice, it's just not enough, and Dabi is going to need a higher level of power to take him down, which means we should be really grateful that Shoto is on the way. This chapter was only 11 pages long, shorter than your usual chapter, so who knows how Horikoshi was feeling when he was making this chapter, and if it was a full 18 pages, if we would have actually seen Shoto show up by the end of the chapter. However, next week, if we aren't going to go away from this area, I do believe we are going to see Shoto show up and try to save Dabi as well, and given that Dabi was one of those characters that I was 100% sure would not be able to be saved, this is a lot of work to do by having all these characters here just to reach that endpoint. So I'm starting to wonder if there is some sort of way that they are going to save Dabi and get him out of the situation, but even if they do, what's going to be left of him after this massive fiery rampage, or is his regenerative skin going to kick in here and heal him back to normal, or as close as he can to normal, and what's going on with the Dabi Phoenix theory? So these are all questions that we have for My Hero Academia chapter 389. Shout out to Rukasu, Dabi's pole dance, and Justice for the leaks. And My Hero Academia isn't on break next week, so we are likely going to be here again next week talking about exactly what goes on when Shoto once again comes face to face with his brother.
Okay. Alright. This is all getting a little heartbreaking for me, so I don't know how long their ice powers going to last on them, but as far as this whole explosion Dabi's going to be, or how he's going to stop, they're going to pretty much end up being in some serious condition and danger right about now. Because if Dabi ends up exploding his own body and they get blasted and Todoroki arrives, he's going to be pretty late to do that. And then he's going to feel bad, and then he's really going to rage out at the moment. But hopefully he could get there in time before that happens. The one thing I really did not understand is that how did Endeavor's family had quirks? I mean, I thought they were just normal people, but except for his son and his sister. I didn't know his sister had a quirk. I didn't even know his brother had a quirk as well, but his wife too? I didn't know she even had ice power. Well, she was born with it, of course, but I didn't know she actually used it often, but that's crazy. I'm actually impressed. This family has a messed up situation in the past, but they can change the future. I know that for sure. But can they bring back Dabi? I don't think not, because he's a villain. He's about to blow up. Is he going to be brought back to normal? Who knows? We may not know if he might not be. So we're just going to wait because they're on break right now. So yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to see how things are going between All Might and All For One, because that's the most exciting part. I want to know what's going on right there. So we're probably going to sit and just wait to see what happens next week. All right, folks. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more for the next chapter of My Hero Academia, and I'll hook you guys up eventually. So, thanks for watching.